You're listening to Underground USA News.
Thursday, August 7th, 2025. President Trump has ordered the Department of Commerce to begin work on a new U.S. census that excludes undocumented immigrants, aiming to produce what he calls a highly accurate count based on modern data and the 2024 presidential election results. This move, announced via Truth Social, seeks to alter the traditional census process, which counts all residents regardless of immigration status as mandated by the Constitution. Critics argue this could face significant legal challenges, as a similar attempt during Trump's first term was deemed unconstitutional, while supporters see it as a step to prioritize American citizens in apportioning congressional seats and federal funding. The initiative aligns with Trump's broader immigration enforcement policies, though its implementation remains uncertain amid potential lawsuits and logistical hurdles. The Library of Congress has attributed the sudden disappearance of key sections of Article I from its online Constitution annotated website to a coding error, a claim that has sparked skepticism given the timing and nature of the omitted text. The missing portions, which include protections for habeas corpus and restrictions on Congress granting titles of nobility, were removed following the replacement of the Librarian of Congress by the Trump administration, prompting questions about potential political motives. While the library insists the issue has been resolved, the incident has fueled concerns about the integrity of public access to foundational legal documents and the need for transparency in maintaining such critical resources. A U.S. soldier stationed at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, was arrested and charged with espionage export violations for allegedly attempting to sell national defense secrets to Russia. The Department of Justice announced on August 6, 2025. This incident raises serious concerns about the security of sensitive military information and the potential threat posed by foreign adversaries seeking to exploit vulnerabilities within the U.S. Armed Forces. The DOJ's swift action underscores the ongoing need to safeguard national security against espionage, particularly as global tensions with Russia persist. The soldier's motives and the extent of any potential breach remain under investigation, but this case serves as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance in protecting America's defense infrastructure. In a bold move underscoring the critical need to safeguard American technological sovereignty from foreign entanglements, President Trump has publicly demanded the swift resignation of Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan, citing his extensive business ties to China as a profound conflict of interest that jeopardizes national security. This call follows a pointed letter from Republican Senator Tom Cotton to Intel's board, questioning Tan's investments in Chinese firms potentially linked to military advancements, and demanding clarity on whether he divested such holdings upon assuming leadership at the struggling chipmaker. Tan, who reportedly controls numerous Chinese companies and has stakes in entities advancing Beijing's tech ambitions, took the helm at Intel in March amid its efforts to rebound from market setbacks. But critics argue his background compromises the company's role in bolstering U.S. competitiveness against adversarial powers. Intel's shares dipped over 2% in response, highlighting the economic stakes, while Trump's intervention reflects a conservative imperative to prioritize domestic innovation and vigilance against communist China's influence in vital industries. In a move aimed at enhancing financial freedom and innovation for everyday Americans, President Trump is set to sign an executive order directing the U.S. Labor Department to reassess restrictions on alternative investments, including cryptocurrencies, within 401k retirement plans, potentially allowing millions of workers to diversify their savings into digital assets amid a $12.5 trillion market. This directive, which emphasizes fiduciary responsibility and interagency collaboration with the Treasury and SEC, seeks to clarify guidelines for offering volatile yet promising options like crypto, private equity, and real estate, reversing prior regulatory hurdles that conservatives argue have stifled economic opportunity and individual choice in retirement planning. White House officials underscore the president's commitment to restoring prosperity and safeguarding futures through market-driven solutions, while SEC Chair Paul Atkins highlights the need for robust disclosure to educate investors on risks, positioning this as a prudent step toward modernizing America's financial system without excessive government interference. After years of punishing drought that shrank the U.S. cattle herd to its smallest size since 1951, ranchers in states like Nebraska and South Dakota are cautiously expanding their operations as improved rainfall rejuvenates grazing lands. Nebraska rancher Craig Uden recently purchased 200 additional mother cows, while South Dakota's Troy Hadrick retained more heifers to grow his herd, signaling a hopeful shift in the industry. However, the rebuilding process is slow, as it takes about 2 years to raise full-grown cattle, and high cattle prices, while boosting ranchers' incomes, are straining meatpackers and driving up beef costs for consumers. This cautious optimism reflects the resilience of American ranchers, though challenges like rising feed costs and recent import restrictions due to pest concerns could temper progress. Republican U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, a steadfast conservative and staunch ally of President Trump, officially announced her candidacy for Tennessee governor on August 6, 2025, intensifying the Republican primary race set for August 2026. Blackburn, Tennessee's first female senator, aims to become the state's first female governor, emphasizing her commitment to conservative leadership and policies that prioritize life, economic growth, and traditional values. She faces competition from U.S. Rep. John Rose, who announced his bid earlier in March, while speculation about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's potential candidacy has been dismissed due to residency concerns. With Governor Bill Lee term limited, Blackburn's entry, backed by her strong fundraising and Trump loyalty, positions her as a formidable contender, though the primary promises a robust debate about Tennessee's conservative future. In a significant advancement for Alzheimer's research, a Harvard-led study has uncovered that the depletion of naturally occurring lithium in the brain plays a crucial role in triggering the disease's hallmark plaques and tangles, with low-dose lithium orotate successfully reversing cognitive impairments and restoring memory function in affected mice. This 7-year investigation, examining both mouse models and human brain samples, demonstrates that maintaining physiological lithium levels supports neuronal health, myelin integrity, and immune function in the brain, potentially offering a pathway for early detection through simple tests like blood or cerebrospinal fluid analysis. While the findings spark hope for an inexpensive treatment option that could bypass the high costs and side effects of current amyloid-targeting drugs, researchers emphasize the need for cautious optimism, as mouse results may not directly translate to humans, and randomized clinical trials are imperative before recommending widespread use. This discovery underscores the value of exploring natural minerals for health solutions, promoting individual empowerment in wellness decisions amid a landscape often dominated by regulated pharmaceutical giants. Ghislaine Maxwell, currently serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking, told Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche during a July 2025 interview that she never witnessed Donald Trump engage in any concerning behavior related to Jeffrey Epstein. The Trump administration is reportedly considering releasing transcripts of the interview to address public pressure for transparency in the Epstein case, though no final decision has been made. Critics argue the administration's handling of the case prioritizes political optics over justice for victims, while supporters see it as an effort to clear unfounded allegations against the president. Maxwell's transfer to a lower security prison in Texas has fueled speculation of a potential deal, though no evidence confirms this. In a decisive step to enforce Texas campaign finance regulations and preserve legislative order, Attorney General Ken Paxton has opened a criminal investigation into Beto O'Rourke's Political Action Committee, powered by people, over claims it unlawfully bankrolled the flight of Democrat lawmakers to Illinois, where they sought to obstruct Republican redistricting initiatives by breaking quorum. The probe scrutinizes whether the PAC's provision of a costly private jet, estimated at 4 times a lawmaker's annual salary, along with lodging and logistical aid from its $3.5 million fund, constitutes bribery or election law breaches. Actions Paxton has labeled as potential Beto bribes that demand accountability to protect the rule of law and prevent such evasive tactics from eroding democratic processes. This development underscores broader concerns about liberal strategies that prioritize disruption over duty, potentially at the expense of Texas taxpayers and electoral integrity, as Paxton vows to uncover any improprieties in this high-stakes political standoff. In a significant ruling, the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has upheld Arkansas's ban on teaching critical race theory in public schools, affirming the state's authority to regulate classroom curricula. The decision, part of the Arkansas Learns Act signed by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders in 2023, overturns a lower court's injunction and rejects claims by 2 students and 2 teachers from Little Rock Central High School that the ban violates their First Amendment rights. The court emphasized that curriculum decisions are a form of government speech, not subject to student demands for specific content, aligning with the principle that elected officials should determine educational standards. This ruling is seen as a victory for those advocating for education focused on fostering critical thinking rather than ideological perspectives, amid ongoing national debates over how race and history are taught in schools. A former Harvard Kennedy School official, Bashar Masri, is reportedly evading a lawsuit filed by families of nearly 200 victims of the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel, which alleges his Gaza properties facilitated the terror group's operations, including rocket storage, training, and tunnel construction. Masri, a Palestinian-American businessman who resigned from the school's Dean's Council after the lawsuit was filed in April 2025, is believed to be hiding in Palestinian-controlled territories, prompting lawyers to seek alternative methods to serve him legal summons, such as publication in an Israeli newspaper. While Masri denies the allegations, claiming opposition to violence, the lawsuit details his alleged ties to Hamas leaders and the use of his properties, including the Al-Mashtal Hotel, as strategic assets for the group's attacks. This case raises serious concerns about accountability and the influence of controversial figures in elite academic institutions. A recent investigation by Germany's Bild Zeitung and Süddeutsche Zeitung has raised serious concerns about the authenticity of images depicting suffering in Gaza, alleging that some were staged by Hamas-aligned photographers, including Ana Zaid Efteha, a freelancer for Turkey's Anadolu agency. These photos, widely circulated by outlets like Time, CNN, and the BBC, are accused of being orchestrated to exaggerate humanitarian crises and fuel anti-Israel narratives, a practice dubbed Pallywood. The report highlights how such images, including one featured on Time's cover, may mislead global audiences, while some defend the practice as acceptable if it reflects broader realities. Critics argue this underscores a broader issue of media bias and the need for rigorous verification in conflict reporting. President Trump is reportedly planning a bold diplomatic move to broker peace in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, scheduling a one-on-one meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin next week, followed by a trilateral discussion with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. This would mark the first direct talks between the warring leaders since Russia's invasion of Ukraine began in February 2022. Trump's initiative, discussed in a call with European leaders, reflects his commitment to resolving the conflict swiftly, emphasizing that everyone agrees this war must come to a close. While European leaders appear supportive, the meetings exclude their participation, underscoring Trump's preference for direct, bilateral negotiations. The White House has indicated Trump's openness to these talks, following productive discussions between U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and Putin, though no official confirmation from Putin or Zelensky has been reported. Brazilian federal agents have dismantled a sophisticated Russian intelligence operation that used the country as a hub for creating deep-cover spies, according to a New York Times investigation. Over years, Russian operatives assumed Brazilian identities, leveraging the country's multicultural society and powerful passport to blend in and obtain authentic documentation. These spies, including a 3D printing business owner and a model, aim to infiltrate Western nations like the US and Europe, not to target Brazil itself. The operation unraveled after a CIA tip in 2022 led to the arrest of a Russian agent posing as a Brazilian, revealing a broader network through meticulous analysis of identity records. This exposure underscores the persistent global reach of Russian espionage and the importance of vigilant counterintelligence to safeguard national security. In a troubling escalation of government oversight into personal communications, the European Union is gaining traction on its revived chat control proposal, which would compel messaging services like WhatsApp, Signal, and Telegram to implement client-side scanning of all private messages, photos, and videos before encryption, ostensibly to detect child sexual abuse material, but effectively enabling mass surveillance and undermining end-to-end encryption. Backed by 19 out of 27 member states, including Denmark, France, and Italy, the measure, reintroduced in July, could secure approval by mid-October through a qualified majority vote, imposing mandatory age verification and real-time monitoring that critics argue erodes fundamental rights to privacy and free expression, setting a perilous precedent for bureaucratic intrusion into citizens' daily lives. Digital rights advocates, such as former MEP Patrick Breyer, decry the plan as the demise of secure digital correspondence, urging resistance against what they view as overzealous regulation that prioritizes state control over individual freedoms. In a decisive move to uphold the rule of law and national security, Lebanon's cabinet has instructed the army to devise a comprehensive plan by year's end to restrict all arms exclusively to 6 designated state security forces, directly challenging the entrenched military capabilities of the Iran-backed Hezbollah militia that has long operated outside government control. This initiative, born from prolonged cabinet deliberations amid mounting U.S. pressure for disarmament in exchange for Israeli troop withdrawals and a stable ceasefire, reflects a commitment to prioritizing Lebanon's stability over factional interests, even as Hezbollah's deputy leader Naim Qassem denounced it as a grave sin, influenced by external dictates and vowed resistance without consensus, while advocates emphasize the necessity of dismantling non-state arsenals to prevent further communal tensions and border escalations following last year's devastating war with Israel. The decision risks deepening internal divisions, particularly among Shiite communities loyal to Hezbollah, and could invite renewed conflict if not carefully managed through dialogue and enforcement. The U.S. Embassy in India has issued a strong advisory to Indian nationals, emphasizing the severe consequences of overstaying U.S. visas, including visa revocation, deportation, and potential permanent bans on future travel to the United States. This warning, posted on social media on August 4, 2025, underscores the importance of adhering to visa terms and the authorized period of stay, as indicated on the I-94 form, to avoid jeopardizing legal repercussions that could disrupt long-term opportunities for work, study, or travel. The advisory aligns with the Trump administration's intensified focus on immigration enforcement, reflecting a broader effort to ensure compliance with U.S. immigration laws and maintain border integrity. Travelers facing delays are urged to contact the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services promptly to seek legal extensions and avoid penalties.
You're listening to Underground USA News.